Well, it's about time.
I know. Sorry.
Hi. Hi.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Oh my goodness.
Hi.
Hi.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
Surprise! We waited so long, we decided to eat it.
I can't believe it. Look at this.
Freezing.
That's a smile.
I didn't know this.
Turn the lights back on.
Surprise!
Hi. Mom, Destiny's here.
I knew he was here.
I'm
shocked.
All right.
Hi, happy birthday.
Oh, yeah, you gotta
Thank you.
And then we'll
I'll
have.
take that.
Let's go.
Oh my goodness.
Hi.
Look at this.
Hello, everybody.
Thank you.
Good, yeah.
I know. I was forced.
Oh. You actually surprised you?
Surprise! Nope.
He's right there. Hi.
How are you doing?
Good.
Yeah.
Oh my
Good work.
The 2-minute warning came really quick. No, but all I saw was 6:55.
I was in bed that finished.
I guess we are having dinner together. I kept emailing you.
Like dodging this question.
I'll get back to you. Hello. Hi. All of F&M. Thank you. So this Hi, Dick. I'm Karen. It's nice to meet you. How are you? It's been a while. How did I find you?
Nice to meet you.
Jeff.
Your husband did a great job.
I can't believe you came here. I mean, happy birthday,
Hello. You came in from where?
Thank you. Hi.
Karen.
Hello.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Oh, hi.
Karen Ann running cup and coffee.
Oh my God. Good to see you're here.
Well, it's great to be here. Great to see you. Jeff.
Mom, you kept asking what the plans were.
Well, what are they? I still don't
Good
know.
secret.
Very good of you to go up to England when you did.
Oh yeah, that was a good timing.
That was a very good timing.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Then, hey, thank you.
Jeff turned us into a liar and a thief.
That's the only way to
Nobody
make
will
this
believe
work.
anything I say anymore.
We did that. Maybe you should give it to whoever you want.
Did they actually surprise you?
It's kind of weird.
Did they actually surprise you?
Good job.
Going out, but yes.
It was a light okay.
Where after 15 minutes, you want a glass of wine, and then I got to say hi to a few more people. Yes, I will. Oh, wait,
Medicated. There is food for you too.
welcome to Mary's Street. Sorry we're so late.
Right.
So am I.
Only the top.
Dzień dobry, dziewuszka.
Dobry dzień.
How are you?
Hello. Oh my God, I can't believe it. How are you?
Давно вы не видели?
Очень давно. Вы еще говорите по-русски?
Конечно, потому что мы там были. И сейчас, конечно, сегодняшний день.
Come on, join in here.
All right.
Wait, you speak a main version?
Я думаю, что сегодняшний день я не часто разговариваю, но я никогда не чисто разговариваю.
Я вообще никогда не говорю по-русски. Hello. How are you?
Fine. I lost track of you.
Well, Jeff was asking me a while ago if you were still in Maine, and I said you were. You are, aren't you?
That was 4 months of these sort of random questions. It's like out of the blue
I gotta
stuff.
tell you.
You though, you live in the winter time. You are impossible to find.
I know. I know that. And then
Well, that's what I found. Is he on the run? Is the KGB
just
North?
had dinner
What's
with your
going on
son.
here?
Yeah? Happy birthday. Oh my God. God. My husband.
Seem to work.
You know, I have in my suitcase Christmas cards for all of you. I think I should just start handing them out.
Instrumental. As I found
Good to see you. Been too long. I'm good. How are you?
Good, it's good. I was just looking at the Christmas cards of your little gorgeous girls from last year to pull the address off. And
Good to see
it
you.
was like, and then I watched
Karen, so happy to see you.
But we're still working them out.
We're still working them out.
Well, he worked very hard, Karen.
not literally, and that's
He's double tasking me.
in Paris.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Good.
I had no idea.
That's the best way.
That's what he wanted.
I thought we were going to a family party.
They really got you.
Well, this is a family party.
Some kind of a show today.
She had a show, she was singing, and it was everybody in the
We drove up to your house for a party.
2.5 hours.
And now it's
Kids.
the one you guys in France you brought back. Yeah. I never saw this iteration. Because I don't think this was a the one in France wasn't the street. Wasn't great. So Karen.
It's okay, I never learned boundaries either.
So this is sort of about you, I think. I'm not sure. I mean, you did arrive European fashionably late. So, Leo. So, I'm sorry, I don't do this often. So this evening was conceived actually on the edge of a pool in a small little town in New Jersey, which is the home of our new home of our first son, his wonderful wife, and our first two grandchildren.
Me.
Well, you're working your way out of the two. Anyway, no. And we were celebrating Jason's 40th birthday. Well, that's kind of shocking because it seems like not too long ago, this place was where it all started. So this stairway is where Karen came down and we got married. Some of you actually were here on that event. And raise some hands of people that are actually here. Well, Audrey, you were sort of here and top, yeah, that's right. Anyone else that was here? Yeah. Come on, Jeremy, you can raise your hand wide, yeah. So actually,
I wasn't here.
So you're a witness at the beginning of a 43-year journey. So Karen has, and you know when she looks at you with that look and says, I do not want a surprise birthday party. So 42 years, I said, okay. And the other thing with this family, it's incredible, is so we got Christmas, we have New Year's, and then we have this amazing array of Ronnie and topping birthdays, all in this month. And also we got some brothers-in-laws, husbands by marriage, and this is an incredibly congested month. And of course, the great patriarch of the family always comes first, Seymour. And so please, if you haven't already, congratulate him on his 96th birthday on the 11th of this month.
Bravo.
Audrey, of course, does her own thing and has her own separate birthday, so which is surprise, which is great too. We're looking forward
in May.
To May for the very next one.
First, don't forget.
May
So
90th.
so mark your digital or paper calendars. Be here, be square, and the pool might even be open. But anyway, so there's a journey that marks passages of years, and this is one celebration we're doing, and of course we never talk about a woman's age after, depending on the state, I guess 14, 16, 21. After that, it's just all the same. So this is we call the halfway mark. So we have that celebration. And that's typically involving family and close friends. And many of you are represented, some are not here because life circumstances like bringing our fourth grandchild and second granddaughter into the world, they have to do their responsibilities, so they were here in Thanksgiving. And then the other piece is Karen started working before she graduated, which is kind of interesting. So 43 years, she decided that it's time to get off the merry-go-round. So the second, we're going to have 2 cakes tonight. So the second celebration is getting off the merry-go-round of work and the ever-present pursuit of the next job, the next challenge, the next opportunity. So this year marks her stepping off that merry-go-round. I couldn't find a merry-go-round, I have to say. I looked around a lot. So we have some other representation of those that you'll see later. There's a lot of discussion about women in business. And, sorry.
Sit down, Kat.
She's really quite extraordinary. So I will date myself with technology. This is a woman that started out with a Russian area studies major from a liberal college. She joined IBM and learned how to program and sell. And we use things like, what are they called? Those little pieces of paper, punch cards?
Yeah, punch
Right.
cards.
Punch cards was, and it was something called a mainframe. So we're now gone from being leading edge technology when we first started in the working world to something that is just a cultural reference a long time ago. And Peter and I were talking about a building that we worked in won an award because it was designed like a punch card down in Lower Manhattan. So she's gone from punch cards and mainframes through mini computers to PCs to the internet and now to the cloud. There are so many companies that don't exist anymore during that journey. She's done it in a woman and a man's world. She's continually reinvented herself. She's had great assistance along the way from men that have been both mentor and sponsors. So we talked about, and our friends from the 1010 program may know, Günter Hase, for example, was a German who was a classic German professional IBMer, and he was one of the senior executives in Paris when we lived in Paris. And she was a part of the team that was created to open up the Soviet Union. Yes, it was called the Soviet Union at one point, and cities were called Leningrad, now St. Petersburg. And she went on a trip with this man, and she had been doing a staff role, and he said,
Systems engineer.
yeah, system engineer role, and because women really don't do sales, they're not really good at that sort of stuff, and computers and such. So he comes back from the trip and he says, why are you doing what you're doing? I mean, you're natural in sales, and would you like to do sales? And she says, sure. So he made it happen. So that's an example of leadership.
Well, as Jim and Marianne, who were here from the 1010, remember, at that time, IBM didn't believe that women should be marketing representatives, that they should only be...
Their term for sales.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
in system engineering roles, as you remember.
She also was someone that, when we went to Paris, it was the first time that a married woman went as the assignee, and I was the trailing spouse, so I was the wife in the equation. Both France, this is the only time France and the U.S. have ever agreed, I think, on anything. We're both confounded by that concept. So, but you know, we were that generation that said, no limits. You know, what do you mean you can't do this or that? I mean, we announced to Top and Audrey on July 4th, 1974, that we wanted to get married on September 1st, 1974. And they said, oh, okay, and then they left and went to Colorado for a month. And we had a wonderful wedding. And we had a wonderful wedding that was a flower child kind of example of everybody bringing something and everything to the table to make it happen. So the same attitude about going to France as the trailing spouse. And then she had the audacity to get pregnant. So Jason, everything you have to thank for is because you got, I guess it was France, that's right. You were born in France, and so she was traveling as a very pregnant woman to the Soviet Union up to what, 6 weeks before delivery, correct? Yeah. So, and there was absolutely no special treatment, and going to the Soviet Union was not an easy thing. Everyone will know what it's like back then. It was, you know, the rooms were cold, the food was horrible. You'd have a menu of 100 items, and there would be actually one available. So she would bring cheese and bread and pate, and oftentimes give it to kids when the flights were delayed and move somewhere else. So it was like not real limits kind of thing. And then we came back to the States, and she prospered as a lead manager in financial services, a liberal arts major with a Russian area studies major. She was a senior person on the chemical bank team, which is now J.P. Morgan Chase, and then lead on sales for Citibank, which is the second largest account for IBM in the world at the time. We still had a bug.
With Charles.
With Charles.
With Charles.
And that's the Charles connection. And the wine is Charles' connection too, by the way. So feel free to give him dynamic feedback on the choices I made from his wonderful list of Norfolk Long Island vineyard that he made with his own hands, by the way. So come around 1985, we still have the itch to go overseas again. And it was, who's going first? Who's going to hit the first time and the other would follow? Well, IBM won the race again, and this time it was to open the market in China. And oh, by the way, you get to live in Japan. And so at this point we had 2 kids, and we bundled them up and took them off. And I found a little position in a Japanese company at the time, and we had a wonderful time. And she again was, like the Soviet market, a part of a pioneering team to open that up. And we know that China has become a reasonably successful economy since then. So back to the States. And by the way, she was told by senior executives in the domestic operation that she would kill her career by going overseas. This is a company that says International Business Machines.
Jim knows that.
Yes. And it's not the only one that was said to, right? You know. So she came back and she was put in the penalty box for a while at 59 Madison. You may know it's IBMers. And then another mentor showed up, a guy named Joe Mavizzo, who I still don't know how to spell his name, and I still haven't been able to find. Rumor has it he's in Florida, but Karen has no way of. I pilfered her phone book and I pilfered her computer book, and I can't even find the correct spelling or any way to find the guy. But anyways, this guy is a recurring theme in terms of pulling her back. He came out of the blue and said, and he had worked with her in China Ops. So he comes back and says, hey, I need somebody to come up and be senior lead on business operations.
Business practices.
Sorry, there we go. See, this is we work well together there. I say one story and she gives me the correct one. So business practices, and Karen goes, I don't know anything about business practices. I'm a Russian area studies major, did a little bit of sales, and liberal arts college graduate. That's okay, just come in. Well, she did some amazing things with some great talented people. And when IBM was kind of going sideways, and it brought a guy named Lou Gerstner to turn things around, one of the first things he did was adopt her strategy around pricing of software against all of senior management's protestations. So again, liberal arts major, woman. Anyway, so now companies you don't know, may not know, some of you will, Gartner, what was it originally, Gartner Group? Yeah, it was Gartner Group originally. Small little IT research and consulting firm. Basically pulled her out, and we got some folks that are from that period as well. Bob is very near and dear to our hearts for a couple of reasons as well in that regard. Said, hey, we like what you're doing in this software side. Brought him in. She was named the top analyst for Gartner by peers. I can't remember, peers or customers? Peers. Okay. Not bad for somebody that has had her background to that point. She then was brought in to do this crazy project, and this is where Bob and Mike And
no, Mike
Bob's
was Carol Group.
yeah, and Bob's amazing twin sons at 16, I think at the time, and who are brilliant in what they're doing out in the world now. We're part of a team to take this Gartner leading IT company from CD-ROMs. Probably heard, some of you might know what a CD-ROM is, and to a web delivery platform. And it was kind of the Star Trek's captain of Luc Picard saying, "Make it so." That was the management leadership model. And so they beavered away for many hours and many late nights and weekends, etc. And they made it happen. And now Gartner is the leading place to go for research, consulting, thought. What's the future in technology? And she was a part of making that happen. And she headed up research as well. A woman in technology. So then Gartner was followed by a specialty financial services research company in Boston. Each time we're moving around here, understand that in our 43 years we've moved 10 times, counting from the point we got married to where we are currently in Seattle. So we have atypically been moving around quite a bit. So Boston was our next destination. Via MasterCard that picked up this company and said, "Fix it." And fix it she did. And Mike was there through that. Bob came in and helped, one of the great resources. So there were other folks that she brought in from Gartner to help in the process as well, and turned around. And then when MasterCard said, "I don't think we ought to be in this business anymore, sell it off," she did that too, prepared it for sale. Again, not an investment banker, no experience in that, but she sold it for more than they paid for it. And now the latest phase, which is Microsoft, a little company that we sort of have some vague recollections well. So here we exit in September when she decided to take retirement and not go back to sales, as a leading light in something called blockchain, which you all would probably know as Bitcoin, little concept that's sort of got attention lately, and cloud computing and financial services. So a woman that started out with punch cards ends up still. So anyway, so the second cake is, and we have, I think they've snuck them in over there, is for the off the carousel and on to whatever's next. Okay, so for the family that doesn't know that journey, this is I'll board you through technology, the history of technology in 40 years or less. And then for members that she knows professionally, and it's great you all came here. It's wonderful that it speaks volumes. And then we have Jason. Are you positioned over there?
Yes, I'll move over there.
Yes, we go to the next phase, and we hope as we now move into sort of dessert phase, and we are adapting. You'd be really amused to see what the original schedule was. It's very precise, very German tectonic. And we'll do this and this and this and that. We're now in French time. So we're in dessert phase. We had a little exercise in the beginning for you all with the cards to sort of chat and learn the common point of Karen. How do you connect? What are your stories? So we hope now that I'm coming to the end of my little segment that you might, as we enjoy a great dessert and some cakes and stuff, that you will maybe share to the group some of the interesting things you didn't know about this little lady So, Karen, if you would shift over, I'm kind of done, winded, and
What, everyone go over to the cake?
yeah, go over to the cake.
Cake, all right.
Almost.
What?
Oh, just a minute. Dad wants to say something.
Well, first,
You can go on the steps too.
I want to thank Jeff, not only for this talk, but the support and the strength that he's given to our family as a whole, with his intelligence, his loyalty, and giving Karen the opportunity and the freedom to be able to achieve what she has. Now,
That was easy, Top, actually. I was just along for the ride.
but there's another aspect to that. And the other aspect is 5 daughters. 5 daughters working together, moving from country to country, and always with their loyalty and intelligence and courage, adapting not only to the country that they were in, whether it was Vietnam or Moscow or Berlin or London, but to each other. And in that process, they looked to Audrey for leadership and to set an example. And I can say, yeah, without hesitation and with great pride, they made a fantastic team, Audrey and the 5 daughters. We lost one about a year ago, Susan, the eldest. And she is still with us because she set an example for us, again, of courage. Susan was born in a French military hospital during the Vietnam War. When Audrey was being escorted into the delivery room of a French military hospital, when the Viet Minh were attacking the site where the hospital was located, and she was born there to the sound of the guns, and became, with Karen, the leader to the 5. So on this day, I want to recall the leadership that Audrey gave to our 5 daughters, the love and understanding that they gave to each other, the strength and the happiness that she gave Audrey and myself. And my thanks to all of you for coming to our house on this day and to give us the opportunity to celebrate a life of great happiness and pride. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. You are wonderful. My entire life, right here, from birth through every era, you are magnificent and you represent all my joy. Thank you so much.
We love you.
And let's enjoy the cake.
Bring in some sugar. Happy birthday to you. So Karen,
Brian, come here.
hang on a sec though. So we got 2 cakes.
Okay.
One is the traditional American cone chocolate on chocolate cake. And can you read what it says?
Great half. Second half will be even better.
Great first half.
Great first half. All right.
Second half.
Will be even better.
So blow this one out.
All right,
This
come
is
on, Ryan.
this is
Come
the
and help.
birthday one.
1, 2, 3.
Okay. So now slide down to the other one. And this should have a carousel on it, but guess who didn't find a carousel? So what does that say?
More merry-go-rounds. No more merry-go-rounds and brass rings. And the new fun. What?
Now.
And now the fun begins. Okay, now the fun begins.
Say that twice.
All right, go, kids, come on.
So this is a
I
unicorn
knew
because
those
she's a
kids could do
unicorn.
it.
That one goes there. So this is, when I was growing up in banking, it was you'd spend your whole career in banking and you get a gold watch. So here's her gold watch, which is a gold trophy for stepping off. This is, please don't do that yet. This is a rocket because you're launching your next career, which we're very excited about. This is involving chemistry and stuff, so we'll do that in a safe environment. And this one is a little notebook and crayons to sort of ponder what that might look like. So, taking notes when stuff comes of fancy and
You mean I
stuff.
can't do it on the computer?
You can do it anywhere you want. You can do it the sort of generic or the digital version. So there's something in the middle here which we'd like you to open up. And this is a contribution from everybody in this room and even people that were not able to come for various reasons.
And you see how beautifully it's wrapped? That's because my daughter-in-law wrapped it.
Actually, Karen, Jason wrapped it.
Jason,
I know, it's shocking to everyone.
oh my goodness, congratulations, Jason. That's
Congratulations, Jason.
It's a good warm-up.
Congratulations on wrapping that present.
Now, this has been put together by Jason, who is a master editor. Okay. Before he decided to get involved. Yeah, sure. So you all are very, very diligent in sharing your images and your thoughts about your time with Karen, and that's what this book has pulled together.
Ryan, get them.
To have it all fallen up.
Go back on
Lynn, hi.
Here, Mom. I'll take this.
Oh,
You don't
wow.
have to save the paper.
Here.
I don't
Ryan,
see
move over
the
here.
paper.
Ryan, you can see it.
What's Christmas on here? Oh, no, it's birthday paper. So.
There's some seats up here.
This was a picture taken in Paris right before Jason was born that Jeff took with the time-elapse camera.
She's
And
having
then-
editorial.
Well, it was before he was born.
Well, that's true, but not just.
But we don't have to. Thank you very much. I will
Look
look through it and leave it out for everybody to look at. And so,
Great, you found it.
Oh,
Now, Ryan, go
beautiful.
back under the
So
seat.
this
All
book
right.
is a product of all that you've each shared and those that weren't able to attend, and right from friends and colleagues to family, and both of the genetic and the married in and grandchildren as well.
The next one.
He wants her to see his page. That's Bella's page.
oh, wow.
Great.
Read it.
All right, read it, your page. To Grandma. Happy birthday, Grandma. When I need someone to play with or talk to, I can come to you. I wouldn't want any other grandma but you. I love you. Love, Leo. Oh, dear Leo. All right.
That's great.
Well, I think everyone what? Go ahead.
No, that's great. And we're gonna. You get a choice of cakes. I honestly have no idea what's in the right cake. It is kind of an exciting sort of what's next. And the left is
The left is chocolate, the one on the right has vanilla.
All right.
And other delicious
Vanilla?
chocolate inside.
left.
Chocolate.
And if we could font it with the writing, that would be great.
Come on, Leo.
That's possible.
Oh, look what's on the back.
Marion's contribution.
So everyone can relax and we'll cut cake.
And there are going to be beverages and some stuff to wake you up for my speech and stuff. So